So I'm going to talk about three primary things that are a part of Office 2010 from an accessibility standpoint. But here is a laundry list. I'll talk about the accessibility checker and how it helps you look at creating content that can be converted into an accessible format, and it helps you check for those. I'll talk about the subtitling add-in for PowerPoint, the Save as Daisy add-in in Word, and the ability to create accessible PDFs. If we have time, I'll talk about a new note-taking capability within Office. It's an application you may not be familiar with. It's called OneNote, and I'll briefly allude to that if we have time. So what is the accessibility checker? When we reached out to customers and we took feedback, one of the biggest things that was pointed out with respect to accessibility is, I don't know if the document that I'm creating is accessible. And there needs to be an easy way for me to create an accessible document. What we've done as a part of Office 2010 is introduce something which is called as the accessibility checker. And that accessibility checker looks at some 4 or 5 parameters for each scenario. And on the basis of those, it identifies those as errors or warnings. And based on those, it will also tell you why should you fix the problem and how to fix it. So it is not leaving you in the dark stating that there's a problem, it's too bad, figure out how to fix it. It tells you why to fix and how to fix. So let's look at that. I know, it's okay. So we've got pictures, tables, whether the alternate text has been provided, graphs, audio video files, hyperlinks, and so on, that are called out by the system. Once it is converted, then you have the option to convert the document back to accessible PDF. So what we need to do, for example, let's take the presentation that we're working on. On the screen, I'm going to invoke the accessibility checkers. Let me just zoom in a little. All I need to go is to go into File, Check for Issues, and under Check for Issues, you have an option that says Check for Accessibility. The minute you run that, if it's in the docx file format, it will give you all errors and warnings that it considers could be a challenge, including tips. So for example, it says alternate text is missing on picture 5. So it will actually find out that Ease of Access Center logo does not have an alternate text. It will tell you things like slide title is missing. So if a screen reader has to read it out and there is no slide title, it will be difficult for the system to comprehend. It will also tell you if there is a duplicate slide title. So there might be a jolly good reason for you to have 2 slides with the same title, but for somebody who is hearing it with a screen reader, they may not comprehend as to why the title has come again. And it will also tell you whether the hyperlink text, for example, if it's just a hyperlink or there's a description on what that hyperlink is all about. So it will do checking not only for Word, it will do checking in PowerPoint and in Excel, and give you a list of things that it tells you why should you fix. For example, if I look at the unclear hyperlink, it says hyperlink text should provide clear description and should tell you how to fix. So that is something that the accessibility checker does. Once you fix it, then you have the opportunity, for example, to convert the file. You do a file save as, and instead of the regular file format for PowerPoint, Excel or Word, you have an option to choose PDF, and when you select PDF and click on options under that, it gives you a checkbox which says document structure tags for accessibility. So that really simplifies how you create content that can be converted into an accessible format, posted to a website or emailed to people who may not have Word, Excel or PowerPoint, convert to PDF, and therefore ensure that it continues to be accessible. Okay, so where were we? Yeah. So clearly the accessibility checker is a must do if you're creating content, if you want that content to be available to people with all abilities. The accessibility checker is a must do from my perspective. The second thing that I want to talk about was the Save as Daisy plugin. We worked hand in hand with the Daisy consortium and one of our system integrators to build an add-on into Microsoft Word that looks at the document. So just like the accessibility checker, it does validation of the document, whether it conforms to the standard to a format that can be converted into a talking book format, and it allows you to then be able to use any of the digital talking book readers to navigate through the document. So I'm not converting a document right now in the interest of time, but I want to just walk you through what when you install this add-in from the SourceForge website, or you will be able to see, you'll be able to access another a menu in the ribbon called accessibility. What it allows you to do is to look at how do you mark abbreviations, manage them, look at acronyms, adding a footnote, looking at what language the document is in or to a translation. Or it will help you convert the document into multiple formats. You just convert it into a DAISY XML, and then the talking book will be able to use an appropriate voice and an appropriate reader to use that. Or you can convert it into a full DAISY book. So it could be a single book or a multiple document file that gets merged into a single DAISY book. And that's really the power of what the Sailor's DAISY add-in would be able to provide. If you come over to our booth at the exhibition area, we'll run you through exactly how it does the validation, what are the things that it does in terms of doing the conversion in the from a regular Word document to a digital talking book. Sorry. Okay. So the third thing I want to talk about is the subtitling text add-in for Microsoft PowerPoint, codename as STAMP. In the subtitling add-in, we looked at how people with hearing impairments can take advantage of what is the video that is being showcased, because unlike a slide where you can read out, a video typically has spoken text, which a person with a hearing impairment will not be able to comprehend. So the subtitling add-in for PowerPoint allows you to add closed captions. Either you can type them in, or you can import them from a time text markup language file. Let me demystify whatever I'm talking about. So here I have this slide. I'm just going to turn it on. On the screen I'm presenting a slide. Can I have audio out, please? Audio out. Sorry, no audio. That's okay. If you can hear it faintly. The music isn't, the thing actually is you having spoken text that is being captioned as a part of a PowerPoint slide. Now,
was not a deterrent.
Thank you.
Despite
now, there is no translation or transcription that is happening automatically. It gives you the flexibility. Okay, this is the last slide that I'm showing. It gives you the flexibility to insert captions. So what I'm going to show you on the screen right now is the ability for you to, let me insert a new video, and I'll show you how to add captions. So insert a video from file, it's added, and I get this option right here to add captions. The minute I do that, I can create a new line, so start from 0 and go to a particular point in time in the video. In 15 seconds, you should put the caption called NAM. Just change to English. I've done that. I could add another caption that starts at 16 and say thank you or whatever. And I can create the captions. So next time this should not be 0, this should be 20. And I'll create. And when I so you will see that the caption will come for that particular period of time. And it really makes it easy not only from for anyone with a hearing impairment, this is also from a training standpoint. If people do not comprehend your accent, or they want to see understand what is the video in their own native language, you can use this closed caption in PowerPoint without understanding how it works in the background, and be able to use closed captioning. So with that, I'd like to now open it up to any questions. But before, sorry. Yes, you had a question.
Sir, actually,
Yes, I'll repeat the question for people at the back.
sir, actually, from the time Windows is developing,
Yes.
it is not developing anything for the visually impaired and blind in particular. For example, narrator has not been developed till date, but you are developing many tools for other type of disabilities.
Okay.
We have to install third-party software after the installation of Windows
Right.
for that, and we have to make various compatibility issues are there till the time they are resolved in various
Okay.
versions. A new version of the Windows comes. So, sir, why narrator is not developed as a full-fledged screen reader
So,
for the blind people, so that a bundled software can be taken? We only install Windows and then we have to. You don't
Right.
have to install any other third-party software.
So, the best person to answer this question would be Mr. Rob Sinclair, who is our Chief Accessibility Officer. He is the guy who is able to influence what comes as a part of our products. We've had this discussion a couple of times on what are good screen readers and why should they not be a part of Windows. There is some thinking in how we look at building in softwares that are screen readers right within Windows. My request would be, he is going to be at the venue tomorrow as well. It would be good if you can drop by at our stall and I'll connect you with him and he'll be able to give you a better answer. I don't want to give you something which is airy-fairy and deflect the question. It would be best that he answers that. So just bear with me on that right now. All right. Just before I close, on the World Disability Day on 3rd of December, we announced 4 things, and if it's of relevance to you, we can discuss a little more after the session. We launched a set of 40 templates for the government to create accessible documents. And I have a session tomorrow morning, and we'll talk about why we chose to do this. We customized a set of 3 guides for educators, businesses, and government so that they can be sensitized on the different types of impairments and how technology can help people with impairments be able to join the mainstream workplace. The third thing we did is to support training for certain government departments who choose to adopt these templates. Again, I'll be talking about that tomorrow. And the fourth thing is about Microsoft Office Specialist certification. So the Office Specialist certification allows you to benchmark yourselves on your knowledge of Office and use that to be able to prove to your employer that you know the stack and you understand how it works. So we will be able to talk about this at our booth. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I will be available here in the room or outside to address any questions that you may have. Thank you so much for being here.